Hey everyone, check out this really awesome vintage cookbook that I found the other day at a thrift store. This is the Pillsbury Family Cookbook. This was printed in 1963, so it's about 60 years old already. No, 65, no, something like that. I can't do math on the top of my head. But anyways, I just wanted to share with you some of the inside of this book because a few reasons. I love the illustrations. Like, look how cool these illustrations are. Everything was illustrated pretty much by hand back then, so I just really appreciate that. But I also want to share with you some of the meal planning tips and tricks that are in this book because they still apply to today. So I love these vintage cookbooks because they really emphasize family meal planning. It says traditional recipes for family favorites, short and simple ideas using convenience food and recipes with a gourmet flavor. Highlight each chapter of this book. Food facts and cooking tips will help both new and experienced cooks. So that's why these books are just really perfect for new and experienced cooks, like it says, but they also share good nutrition, menu planning, shopping tips, time management for meals, and then they emphasize like table service and how you present a lot of the meals at your home for your family, because cooking for your family is just such a big responsibility, and it's a joy to be able to prepare delicious and healthy foods for your family. And it just goes to show this is something that never changes. Like, homemakers across America are always going to be interested in finding new ways to make delicious, healthy meals for their family. So I like this little picture here. It says, like mother used to make. So this book is kind of sharing how women went from preparing everything from scratch to then now in this time period, 1963, homemakers were actually being introduced to a lot of new shortcuts. So this book is by the Pillsbury Company. This was when they had I think Pillsbury came out around 1919, so they had been actually in business for about decades already, but they were sharing a lot of baking mixes and pre-refrigerated prepared doughs and things like that. And then this book is basically a marketing tool for how to use their products, but they really share a lot of nutrition information and a lot of tips and tricks for meal planning and success for feeding your family, because for me, that's just really my focus every day is like, how can I feed my family healthy food without, breaking the bank? And I love making things from scratch, so I don't want to compromise on that, but I do want to maybe use some shortcuts. So this is just really fun. The Betty Crocker cookbook is really great too. It comes in a binder like this one and was printed around, I think, the 1950s. I'm not sure when the first publication of this Pillsbury cookbook is, but there's a lot of Pillsbury cookbooks from even before 1963 that I found. Okay, so meal planning. And it starts off here by saying, what to have for dinner is a familiar question and a puzzlement for many. It is an easy solved puzzle if you approach meal planning on a weekly basis with the basic 4 food groups as your guide. Keep in mind the amounts of each food group your family needs each day for good nutrition, and an easy menu plan will soon develop. Each meal should relate in some way to the ones before and the ones after. Think of the day's meals as a unit, the week's meals as an interlocking series, and the 4 basic food groups as the key to solving the whole. When dinner time comes, it is easier to find one missing piece, in case you slipped up somewhere, than to start the whole puzzle again. Start with the main dish and build the rest of the meal around it, whether it be meat, poultry, fish, or eggs, or in my case, it's beans, lentils, and other legumes. And then enhance it with flavors from the fruit and vegetable group, and serve in combination with milk and dairy foods, or with milk as a beverage. And for me, that would actually be like nuts and seeds. Complete the meal with adequate servings from the bread and cereal group, either with the meal or as a dessert. And then it goes on to share like secrets of success and plan accordingly. But I wanted to share with you here, and I would love to do more videos sharing like books like this. If you're interested in vintage cookbooks and having them read out loud to you, let me know in the comments below, because I love vintage cookbooks. And I do think that the way that they worded things back then was really helpful and very straightforward and like professional. So I really like the language that they use in cookbooks back then. The language that they use in books these days is, you know, fun to read, but it's kind of a little comical sort of. This is like a little more professional. Okay, so then they go on to share some wise shopping tips. It says, today's shopper has a wide variety of products to choose from than ever before. Consider the miracle of any given supermarket. Which is true. I mean, that's a miracle if you think about it. Some 8,000 to 10,000 items are waiting to be plucked from the shelves, packaged in any size, shape, or form as she may desire. Consider too the confidence with which purchases are made, thanks to grades and standards which are rigidly enforced. And then they go on to share some shopping tips. One of the things that I'm starting to focus on right now is where they list here, shop the newspapers before you shop the store. Watch for seasonal specials. Fruits, vegetables, and meats in abundant supply are, as a rule, better buys. So I've been using Instacart to actually shop before I go to stores like Sprouts. I shared a video the other day of how I grocery shopped at Sprouts using the organic food deals that they had that week. And I did actually research what they had in advance before I even went to the store by using the Instacart app. So if you've never used Instacart, definitely check that out. I'll share a link in the description below for a discount promo code because I'm an affiliate for Instacart. Okay, and then they go on to share some tips for buying meats, tips for buying eggs, poultry, tips for buying fresh produce. And these are all still really applicable today. You know, a lot hasn't changed when it comes to food. There might be new food products, but it's still the same thing. You're still planning meals, shopping for meals, preparing them, serving them, and storing them. So then it talks about food storage. During the waiting period between purchase and preparation of most foods, the enemies of precious vitamins and minerals are heat, moisture, and sunlight. Proper storage is essential to preserve the quality and freshness of the food you purchase. And then it goes on to share like how to store a lot of these common foods, potatoes, brown sugar, green vegetables. Yeah, so those are really great tips actually in just this one binder here. Okay, and then they really emphasize time-managed meals. So this is known as the space age. So that was the 1960s, right? This is known as the space age, and most of us are living at a fast pace. Once upon a time, women had the time to spend hours in the kitchen preparing meals. But today, the demands on our time are many, and the minutes available for food preparation are precious. The food industry has come to our rescue with nutritious and convenient foods easily prepared in a shorter time. Okay, and then it says, but the question of how to get everything to come out at the same time is still frequently raised. Planning ahead is the answer. Time management sounds as formidable as a budget, but it pays off once a few simple rules are mastered. Because everyone has different demands on their time and works at a different pace, these rules are flexible enough to fit into your pattern of living. So start with simple meals and then plan your menu ahead and write it down. All right, well that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this tour, this vintage cookbook. See you in the next video. Bye.